I want to show you a people, just take my hand, a people that was trodden down, taken from their land. So as a bondwoman, a bondman, a people brought back to Egypt once again, a people that is suffering from curses so real. And if you don't believe that, just check the back of your dollar bill. We the people with the grip on his brother's heel. So they brought us on ships with the intent to kill. Cause we the people of the prophecy, a people lost like hide and seek, a people numbered like the sand of the shining sea, a people on a trail of tears that stretches far back as the eyes can see. The people like the city on a hill. The people that was hidden is revealed. The people who eventually would rise up and tell the whole wide world that their time's up. Yeah, we the people of the promise. The prophethood is ours, not Ishmael or Muhammad's. Our roots is in the Bible, it was never Islamic. The Arabs pushed it on us through slavery and violence. For hundreds of years, we've been suffering in silence. The people getting shot up by cops with the sirens. Dead bodies drop in the land that is spiritually Sodom. Now we trying to reach our God for asylum. We the people that was slain, the people that was hanged, hog-tied, beaten up and tamed, the people that's in need for a change, the people that the Father sent the Son to reclaim, the people that was bought with a price, the people of the Most High, the people of Christ, the people that were so damaged, but now we woke with the hope, singing Hosanna. It's the PEO, PLE. You can read about us through the pages of the KJP. It's a lost SHEEP. All we want to do is serve God and be free. We a nation of kings and a nation of queens. A royal priesthood with Jacob in our genes. And this they know, so the nations despise us. But it's only because the kingdom's inside us. So they got a plot and scheme to divide us. It's a weak attempt to try to deprive us. They try to bribe us, but yet still, a diamond shines in the rough, can't change his will. 144,000 stay still, and the new city Jerusalem will still be built. We've been waiting for this time for the longest. Not a place to call our own, so we homesick. Second Chronicles chapter 7 verse 14. If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves.
Shalom to my people out on YouTube. We'd like to welcome each and every one of you to another episode of Transformation Tuesday. We'd like to give all honor and praise to Ahaya Bahashem Yeshaya, Robo. And for those of you not familiar with the Hebrew, that is all praise to the Most High and name of Christ as well as the Holy Spirit. Once again, we'd like to welcome each and every one of you to to our Transformation Tuesday, where we're striving to transform into the image of the greatest Israelite who ever lived, Yeshua HaMashiach, who the world knows to be Jesus the Christ. We thank each and every one of you for taking time out of your busy schedule. We know you could have been anywhere in the world, so due to the fact you decided to join us, we do not take your time for granted. For my peoples on Facebook, you know that we haven't been able to broadcast live on Facebook because of issues with the signal. So I want you guys to know that those who are live with us right now, if there's any problem with the signal or with the sound, we are currently live on YouTube. So let us know if you have any problems with the sound or the signal or if it's buffering. We will send you the link. We will post a link into the Facebook live, and so that you can come and join us on YouTube where things work smoothly. For those that are with us on YouTube, we ask for you guys to please like the video as you come in, and if you all have a Facebook page, could you please share the link on your Facebook page? We do appreciate it. Now, as you can see, Deacon is joining us tonight. Normally, Deacon has Tuesday nights off, but my brother Sam is going through some bereavement with his family. We ask you guys to be in prayer for him and his wife's family as they go through this time of bereavement. You understand, we know that the Most High is with them, but we solicit your prayers as they deal with what is facing them right now. We also stand today giving honor to a man who has truly blessed me. As I was talking to his son last night, I told him that my ministry today would not exist if it wasn't for your father. This man name is Bishop Samuel Thompson of Clover, South Carolina, New Beginnings Baptist Church there in Clover, South Carolina. I met him back in 2011. Now, there's countless amount of men and women throughout the years who have played a part in my journey, my transition and elevation is to come working for the Most High. But there's a top 3 list to that top 3 names on that list. It's my pastor, Reverend Roy A. Linsby, Reverend Anthony Ledbetter. But number 1 on that list is Bishop Samuel Thompson. Because without him and his example of what ministry looks like as a whole, with his faith in me, his confidence in me, his encouraging words, and I would have thrown in the towel a long time ago. And back in 2012, the first year we started Better Day Ministries, I was on the brink of throwing in the towel that same year. And we came down there and we had an event down there, and he saw the weariness on our face with what we had put into the work. Even at that day, even to this day, the people that I was involved with, shouts out to 300, Omar, Brandy, Rojas, we always had the same mentality that freely we receive, freely we were to give. So we used to travel 2, 3, 4, sometimes 5 hours, booking bands and praise teams and praise dancers and sound equipment and all kind of things, buying food on our own dime. We didn't have sponsors. We didn't have we just had the Most High. And we would go places, and sometimes the crowds would be there, sometimes they wouldn't. And on this particular day, crowd wasn't there, and we didn't know how we was going to get back. And we gave the Most High everything we had, even with those amount of people that was there. And afterwards, he sat us down and talked to us for over an hour straight. Just everything we needed to hear. He just knew. And it was amazing. And then we left there. And as we was getting ready to go out, so look at this, boyfriend on your end over there, look at that. As we left out, he told us, he said, man, the Lord told me to do something for y'all. And he told us to follow him to the gas station. He filled all our pumps up. And we didn't know, because we had no idea how we were going to get home. But we never said nothing. We just trusted the Most High. He filled our tanks up, man. Never said a word about what we would need. He just, every time there was a need, he just knew. He would call us. I mean, I can be on here for hours telling you what this man has meant to me. And the Most High called him home on Thursday night. And it just bothered me because I didn't make the time. I ain't gonna say I didn't have the chance. I didn't make the time to get down there to see him. Thinking that tomorrow would always be there. And tomorrow came and he's not there. So I'm telling you this story tonight, ladies and gentlemen, to don't take each day for granted, because as my pastor, Roy Linsby, would always say, give people their flowers while they're living. And I told him I loved him all the time when I talked to him, but it's been a good while. And I wish that I would have made the time to get down there now. And I don't have that opportunity now. So I tell people today, make time for people. Don't put off for tomorrow what you can do today. You understand? It's very important. So as I said, before we go ahead and get started, I want to, by way of announcement also, for those who are in the Scotland County, Richmond County, Hope County, Marlborough County and South Carolina area, even the Stanley County area, we're going to be down at Shining Light Faith Temple in Laurel Hill this coming up Saturday. And the address is 8981 Old Wire Road, Laurel Hill. That is Laurel Hill, North Carolina. That is at Shining Light Temple of Faith Ministries. That is 8981 Old Wire, Wire Road in Laurel, Lourel Hill, North Carolina. This Sabbath coming up at 12 p.m. And we would love to see you guys out there with us. One last announcement also for those who are with us on Facebook. If there's any problem with the signal, any problem with the sound, please let us know. We are live on YouTube right now. For those who are coming on with us on YouTube, please like the video. And if you have a link, Facebook page, please share the link on Facebook for us. The water. Now, for those who may be joining us for the first time, on Transformation Tuesdays, we give an opportunity for those who have questions about their journey, have questions about their relationship with the Most High. You can ask those questions live. We have some questions that's already been submitted. But we always ask that you do not ask a question about a particular person, a particular camp, someone's church, other people's beliefs. We just ask that question be strictly about your personal journey, something that you're desiring to learn for yourself. And we will get to those questions in the order which they came in. We have some wonderful questions tonight, but we do not have any issue with getting to questions that we receive live. Tonight's base scripture is going to be 1 Corinthians 3, verse 18 through 20, as well as Romans 12, 1 through 2. Let's start there. 1 Corinthians 3, verse 18 through 20.
Let no man deceive himself.
Let no man deceive himself.
If any man among you seemeth to be wise in this world, let him become a fool that he may be wise.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I know many of you may have had all type of experiences and education that you received prior to understanding who you are, prior to having a relationship with Christ. But the Most High said, let every man be a fool. Let's first know who he is. So you can't bring anything that you've had in the world into your relationship with the Most High. Go ahead.
For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God.
Because the wisdom of this world, ladies and gentlemen, is foolishness to the Most High. It's foolishness. It may seem wise to the people in the world. It may seem deemed of great magnitude to the people on this earth, but it is what?
For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God.
But it is foolishness to the Most High. Go ahead.
For it is written, he taketh the wise in their own craftiness.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the Lord knoweth the thoughts of the wise.
Right.
That they are vain.
That they are what?
That they are vain.
That they are vain. Now, let's go to Romans the 12th chapter. And let's look at verses 1 through 2 there.
I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God,
by the mercy of the Most High,
that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service.
Ladies and gentlemen, never take what you're doing for the Most High as an obligation, but we must take it as what?
Which is your reasonable service.
But it is our reasonable service. Go ahead.
And be not conformed to this world.
And be not conformed to this world. Be ye what? By the renewing of your mind. And when our mind is renewed through the Spirit and His Word, what happens? Right. Right. Will of the Most High are higher. So this is what we're charged to do, ladies and gentlemen. We have to prove to the Most High what is good, perfect will of His Word. You understand? So this is the reason why we do what we do. And this is the purpose of Transformation Tuesday, so that we may transform into the image of the greatest Israelite who ever lived, Yeshua HaMashiach, who the world know to be Jesus the Christ. Now, like I said, for those who have a question on YouTube or on Facebook, you can put those things into the box, to the live chat, and we will answer those in the order that we get them. Let's start off the night with our first question, which was one that I knew we was going to receive, and we kind of received a lot of different questions dealing with this subject. But instead of asking all of them individually, I just wanted to put them in this, use this one question to basically address all of that. It says, me and you have had several conversations on whether or not we are the true Israelites. But with the recent events, I'm just reluctant to bring my family and friends into this lifestyle. Now, for those who don't know what he's talking about when he said these recent events, the recent events was that they had a situation, an incident that happened in New Jersey, and where they said, the media claimed that the people who did it were Black Hebrew Israelites. Now, for those who didn't get a chance to check out that lesson that I did last Thursday called There is No Such Thing as a Black Hebrew Israelite, I suggest that you check that out, okay? That'll give you some information, some detailed information on that. It's only about an hour long. Now, so he said with this, and this is just one of many incidents that has already happened, Israelites are being deemed as hate groups, as haters, and they're calling our people who are understanding who they are, they're calling us Black identity extremists, right? Which is another thing that we explained on the lesson, so I'm not going to go into that. So he said with this happening, he is reluctant to bring his family and his friends into this lifestyle. What is your advice, he asked. I honestly don't feel comfortable with putting a bullseye on my family. Let's go to Philippians 2. Let's start there. Now, first off, I want to say, ladies and gentlemen, to my brother, and for all of you, especially those who are in the Christian church, who have came awakened to this truth that you're not Black, that you're not an African American, that you're from the tribe of Judah for the nation of Israel. But many of you are remaining in the Christian church. You're remaining in the world. You're remaining in the closet because you're afraid of what what this will mean and how people will deem you. I need to remind you, and guess in case you forgot, that when you was born as a so-called Black man or a so-called African American woman, you were already born with a bullseye on your back, right? Now we know that, saying that you're an Israelite, wearing fringes and doing these things may increase that size of that bullseye, but just the skin tone alone will make you put a bullseye on your back, right? Secondly, I want to make this clear. You should make no decision, and I'm not just talking to the brother who asked this question, but I'm talking to everyone as a whole. You should never make any decision based for yourself or your family based on what I say or any other man say. You understand? Never give a man, any man in this earth realm, that much control over your life. Okay, I want to make that clear. Now, that's the reason. This is the reason why I'm saying let's start in Philippians 2, because a lot of times you have some elders out there, you have some preachers who will make themselves demigods in your life, and they do it all the time. You see it on their social media posts talking about follow me and those who won't submit to leaders, and you see this all the time, right? Making it seem like you won't make it unless you're with them. You won't make it unless they approve you. You don't have no charge unless I give it to you. And we know there's some men out there that do that. But you won't find that from us. Ever. Okay? So let's start there in Philippians 2, because I wanted to make that clear. And let's start there in 12 and 13.
Wherefore, my beloved, as ye have always obeyed, not as my present only, but now much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling.
Paul said, listen, okay? You have always obeyed. And what that means is you have always obeyed the Most High's word. But I don't need you to just obey it and do it in my presence. I need you to do this when I'm not around. And for many of you, ladies and gentlemen, that the Most High has called us to be elders to and to support and to minister to, many of you guys are in areas that currently we ain't able to reach yet. So you living this truth and following this truth does not mean to be whether we're there or we're not, or whether your elder is there or they're not. You must read that last part, Nick. He says what? Work out your own salvation. You see that? Right? Because when you stand before the Most High, no one will be there but you. You understand? Watch this. Verse 13. For it is the Most High. You see that? That's the Most High doing. We thank the Most High that we're able to sow into your life and to water the seeds that some of the man has sown, whatever the case may be. We thank the Most High for that. But we are not the end all to anything. And if any man ever tells you that, run as fast as you can. You understand? Run as fast as you can. If someone is telling you, listen, without me, you ain't making it, run as fast as you can. Okay? So yes, you have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, my life, my journey, my sacrifice, it may not be yours. What I got to do, what I have to give up, what I have to, make a priority may not be yours. You only know what it is that the Most High has called you to do. You understand? So, yes, I'm saying you should gather with a body. Yes, you should submit to an elder. But ultimately, you are responsible for carrying out your purpose laid to your hands, as well as planting and watering the seeds in your children so that they will accomplish theirs. You understand? Shalom, Ladon, good seeing you on with us tonight. So I want to make that clear, ladies and gentlemen, that never give another man that much power over whether you do something or you don't. Okay? We're just here to advise and to carry out and to hope and to encourage you and guide you. But ultimately, you have to follow the Spirit. And we're going to show you that. Let's go to 2 Timothy 1 and Isaiah 35. But you, ladies and gentlemen, I understand with all the reluctance and everything that's going on, with the things that's being promoted in the news and, how things are happening. And ladies, we know that some of the things that you're seeing through social media, how men are being harsh and oppressive to women, and it's all kind of madness. And I hate that. I hate it. But you must be willing to go forth in this truth without fear, trusting that through studying and fasting and praying and leaning to the Holy Spirit, you can't go wrong. You understand? So let's go to 2 Timothy 1 and get Isaiah 35. 2 Timothy 1, D, let's read that verse 7.
God has not given us the spirit of fear.
The Most High has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power,
and of
love,
and of a sound mind.
Verse 8.
But be not thou therefore ashamed of the testimony of the Lord.
Read that again, D.
Be not thou therefore ashamed of the testimony of the Lord.
You must not be ashamed of the testimony of Yeshua. Go ahead.
Nor of me, his prisoner.
Nor of me, right? So what Paul is saying, I'm saying the same thing. Don't be like, man, I can't be out there, proclaiming this live on social media like that. That may not be your calling. And don't think that you have to do this because you see everybody else doing this. You get the truth. That don't mean you got to go to a street corner. You don't got to start a YouTube page or a Facebook page. We was doing this before we got into the truth. You understand? Understand that. We've been public about Christ before we knew we was Israel. And we definitely wasn't going to turn down because we found out we was Israel. You understand? Now we're talking louder. You understand? Read that again for him, Dick. He says what?
Be not thou therefore ashamed of the testimony of our Lord.
Right.
Nor of me, his prisoner. But be thou partakers.
But be thou partakers.
Of the gospel according to the covenant
You see that? You got to be partakers of it. You got to be willing to be partakers of it. Okay? Don't be like, man, I'm going to fall back. Nah, you got to be willing to be a partaker of it. If you want to be a partaker of the kingdom, be a part of the blessing, be a part of being chosen, then you got to be willing to be partakers of the affliction and the work that need to be done as well. Let's encourage them. Let's go to Isaiah 35. So let me leave you with some encouragement. And for those who haven't seen the lesson that we did last Sabbath called "We Will Not Run, We Will Not Hide, the Most High is with us." If anyone is dealing with some fear or reluctancy to go forth in the truth, that lesson will definitely be an encouragement to you. Isaiah 35, let's read verse 3 through 4.
Strengthen ye the weak hands and confirm the feeble knees.
And confirm the feeble knees. Go ahead.
Strengthen them that are of a fearful heart. Be strong.
Be strong.
Fear not.
Fear not.
Behold, your God will come with vengeance. Even God with the recompense. He will come and save you.
Most High's coming. Okay. Anytime you need some re-encouragement, just go read Isaiah 63. That's what your Savior is coming to do for you. He's coming. Get Isaiah 66. He's coming. Check out that Joel 3. He's coming. Right? So don't be encouraged. The Most High will save us. We just got to make sure we're in a position to be saved. Now, let's go to the next question. I told my this was a good question, so I want to do this in a second. It was one of the last questions that I got today, but I want to do this. I want to make sure we get this one in early. It says, Matthew 7, verse 21 to 23. This is what the verse he said. He said, can you explain the word never? Is the context with being forgotten be because one did not keep the law, statutes, and commandments, or because the individual didn't have a relationship? I'm going to read that again. It says in Matthew 7, verse 21 to 23, can you explain the word never there? Is the context with it being forgotten because one did not keep the law, statutes, and commandments, or because there were individuals didn't have a relationship? Now, so before I answer that question, let me get a read of Matthew 7, verse 21 to 23. Then we're going to break that down.
Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father, which is in heaven.
Right.
Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name? And in thy name have cast out devils, and in thy name done many wonderful works. And then I will profess unto them, I never knew you.
He said, I never knew you. Go ahead.
Depart from me, ye that work iniquity.
Now, so that's the question. Is he asking that? The question that Ma'ak is asking is Yeshua saying never knew you because they didn't keep the law, statutes, and commandments, or is he saying never knew him because they didn't have a relationship? That's a real good. I said, but that's a good question, and I'm gonna explain it here, ladies and gentlemen. The truth of the matter is, if you're not keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, you don't have a relationship, and we're gonna prove that. Let's first start, Deke. Now, Deke, I know where you're going. Notice right here, this is right there in the precept. So we going there with that. I want to make sure that we make it clear that the keep the law, statutes, and commandments and the relationship with Hamashiach is one and the same. Because there's a question that I got the other day that I didn't put on the Q&A because it takes too deep of a time breaking it down. And that question was talking about the fact that you're trying to say that Christian pastors who ain't teaching that we Israel don't know the Most High. And I was like, you have to understand, this is something way deeper than that. So I can't go into that on the Q&A because it takes so much to explain. But I want to make this clear here in this question of that keeping the law, statutes, commandments, and having a relationship with Hamashiach is one and the same. So let's go to Ezekiel 33 and give me John 3 and 17. Now let me try to explain this from this perspective, right? Now, women will be able to relate to this more, better than men. The way I'm going to describe it, right? Let's talk about from the initial stages of getting to know each other. You know how, like, let's say for instance, you out at the mall, you on your job, You know, you out at the grocery store, you come across a young man, you come across a young girl. You come across a lady, you come across a man. And I'm hoping that this is men initially initiating the conversation with women. Women, I hope you ain't out there, especially you in the truth. I hope you ain't initiating no conversations, right? Don't do that. That's another lesson for it itself. We know women in the world is doing that, but ladies in the truth, you need to be found. You don't be initiating no conversations out here, right? You let them come to you. You're the prize. Remember that. Now, so let's say this guy, gets at you or whatever the case may be, and you be like, okay, here's my number. Give me a call when you get a chance. Now, especially how it is in today's time, a lot of people are not talking phone-wise initially. What are they doing? They're texting. I don't understand that. I can't develop no relationship through no text, but that's the way people do today. That text message don't mean nothing to me, but that's what people do today, right? So initially you're texting and you're asking whatever you're doing, you're conversing. But for a lot of people, they will think that because you've been texting for several weeks, months, that you know the person. And so men will go back and say, yeah, like if Shorty come up in a conversation, they be like, yeah, I know her, right? But if the girl is talking to one of her homegirls and the dude name come up and like, yeah, I done talked to him, but I don't know him like that. You see the difference? You see the difference? Because that's what the girl's gonna say. Like, she doesn't care how many conversations you had. If she ain't building with you and being spending time with you, that girl's gonna say, yo, I don't know him like that. That dude is gonna clap in his mind. Yeah, I know I've been talking to her, man, for a few weeks now. And that girl's like, I don't know you, right? Well, it's in the same manner. In the Christian church, most people are not taught to develop a relationship with the Most High. They're not taught to develop a relationship with Christ. They're just taught the rituals of church. So you go to church, you hear the sermons, you sing the songs, you participate in the ritual of church, and you can do that for months, a year. And for many people, they'll say, I have a relationship with Christ. But Christ is like, I don't know you. You understand? Because you've never developed the one-on-one thing with him, right? Let me put it from this angle. So you could be going to church. For my people in the truth, you could be going to the gatherings. You could be reading the law. You could be doing all of these things. But there's a standard. There's a requirement. There's a prerequisite in order to have a relationship. You understand? So you can be going back and forth with the girl. You can be going back and forth with the guy, right? You can even go on a few dates. But if you have not met the standard of which that lady demands or requires to have a relationship with her, no matter how much conversation that you have, she's not going to deem it a relationship. You can go out and spend mad money on her on dates. It's not going to matter. Back and forth. And since it's on a Tuesday, we can put this in. Ladies, you can go on dates with guys. You can give them your body. You can label them. But it doesn't make a difference until that guy has said to you, for real, you are my woman, we are official, and this is on a public stage, that it doesn't make a difference. So a lot of you are meeting guys in the clubs, going home with these guys, having sex, texting throughout the week and getting back up on the weekends and believing that you are in a relationship when you're not. You say, what does that got to do with it? Well, that's the same thing a lot of people are doing when it comes to Hamashiach. You believe your church attendance, you believe the rituals, even holy days or holidays will determine is the factor in meaning that you have a relationship with Christ. And it doesn't necessarily mean that. And because this is what the Christian church has been teaching, many of our people are going to get that Matthew 7:23 when they stand before him and not going to see it coming. Now, let me show you. Ezekiel 33. Let me show you how important this is. Watch this. Ezekiel 33, read verse 10 through 11.
Therefore, O thou son of man, speak unto the house of Israel.
Speak unto the house of Israel. Go ahead.
That she speaks, saying, if our transgressions and our sins be upon us, and we pound away in them, how should we then live?
How should we dare live? Go ahead.
Say unto them, as I live, saith the Lord God, I have no pleasure in the death of the wicked.
I have no pleasure in the death of the wicked. Regardless of what these guys are sitting out here on the street corners telling you that the Most High want everybody to die, that's a lie. Read it again, what he says, D.
As I live, saith the Lord God, I have no pleasure in the death of the wicked.
I have no pleasure in the death of the wicked. Go ahead. That's what the Most High wants. Now let's prove that. Let's go to John 3:17. Right? Read that.
For God sent not his son into the world to condemn the world.
So he didn't send Hamashiach to condemn, but what?
But that the world through him might be saved.
And that world is talking about Israel. We can prove that. Go ahead.
He that believeth on him is not condemned.
Right?
He that believeth not is condemned already.
Now, I needed to set that base. Now let's go back to Matthew 7. So as a result, ladies and gentlemen, because the Most High didn't send Hamashiach to condemn, and because he wants all men to be saved, many people start going to church. Many people find out that they're Israel and they start getting into this truth, start keeping law, start keeping statute commandments. Some. But for my Christian brothers and sisters, many of you right now are just doing church. And that even goes to my Israelite brothers and sisters. You're just doing Sabbaths. Well, I don't go to church on Sunday no more. That's John Wicked. Come to the Sabbath. Holy on the week, holy on the Sabbath days, woe on the weekdays. Right? So let me show you how this happens. Now read Matthew 7 again. Watch this.
Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven.
Right?
But he that doeth the will of my Father, which is in heaven.
Now, let's see how this works. Now, we're going to show you that the law, keeping the law and the statute of commandments is one and the same with having a relationship. Read that for them one more time, D, so they can make this clear.
Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven.
Now, there's only two people in the world that is calling Hamashiach Lord. There's only two. Christians and Israelites. Not the people in the world. Not people that's going to church every now and then, but Christians and Israelites. Those are the only two people that's called him Lord. But there's a difference between the Christian and an Israelite. And when I say that, ladies and gentlemen, when I say Israelite, I'm even talking about the Gentiles who are cleaving to Israel. Because Israel is one, as far as the Most High is concerned, when we go into Isaiah 14. Because he said the Gentiles will do what? Cleave to Israel. So when I say Israel, I'm not excluding the Gentiles. When I say Christians, I'm not just talking about Black and African Americans. I'm talking about all Christians. The difference between Christian and Israel is one particular thing. And that is because some are keeping the holidays and the religions and doctrines of Christianity, and Israel is keeping the holy days and Sabbaths of the Bible. That's the difference. But both were calling him Lord, Lord. Both believe that they have a relationship with him. For sake of time, for sake of understanding, read that one more time. Matthew 7:21.
Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven.
But who going?
But he that doeth the will of my Father, which is in heaven.
Now, for understanding, let's go to John 4. Watch this. That was a great question, boy. When he said that, I was like, that's going to bring edification. That can do a lesson. We can do a lesson on that. Just that question in itself. That's why I'm taking my time with this one, because it's very important that people understand the difference. John 4, 23 to 24. Watch this.
For the hour cometh in thy ways when the true worship.
When the who?
The true worship.
When the who?
The true
When the true worshipers, go ahead. With what?
Worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father seeketh such to worship him.
Now, we understand that 2 Corinthians 5:17 says that those in Christ are what? New creatures, and old things pass away. Behold, all things become what? New. That means that spirit man that died as a result of Adam, because Adam was initially created in the spirit, who died as a result of that, is reborn. That's why you must be what? Born again. You can't be born again if you wasn't already born. You see that? Right? So that spirit man is reborn, right? So he says, in order to worship him, read verse 24.
God is the spirit.
The Most High is a spirit.
And they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth.
And they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. Now the Christians got the spirit because they believe that he died and rose on the third day. Now they may got the third day off on what day he actually rose, but they actually do believe that he died for the sins. Shalom, Tim, good seeing you on with us tonight. So watch this. Let's go to Psalms 119, 142. Because Yeshua said that the true worshipers must worship him in what? Spirit and truth. So you can have spirit, but if you don't have truth, you're not worshiping the way that the Most High requires. Okay? So let's go to Psalm 119, 142. Watch this. Watch this.
The righteousness is an everlasting righteousness.
So the righteousness in which the Most High declares is an everlasting righteousness. It doesn't make a difference what the world has deemed righteous today. This Bible declares what righteousness is. It's an everlasting righteousness. And what? And thy what? And thy law is the truth. So, ladies and gentlemen, just by that alone, what Christ said in John 4:24, that you must worship him in spirit and in truth, if the Christians are excluding the law, you only worship him in spirit, even though you call him Lord. If the Israelites are worshiping him with the law and including the spirit, you only worship him halfway. Now let's bring this analogy back around what we talked about with the relationship. I can get in a relationship with a young lady, and initially we're on one accord, walking hand in hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if I sway away from the standard and the requirement of the relationship, what happens? It's over. But this is the problem. What we're going to show you here is, ladies and gentlemen, is that because our Christian brothers and sisters never was in the truth, the relationship never started. It never started. And they was confused by the initial conversations. And I'm going to break this down in the parable. Watch this. Let's go back to Matthew 7. Watch this. Watch this. Matthew 7, verse 21 again. Watch this.
Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father, which is in heaven.
So according to Mashiach, the ones that are doing the will is the ones that will develop the relationship. Which means, ladies and gentlemen, you don't get in a relationship just because you express a desire to be in it. Mm-hmm. Nobody you meet the first day and you're like, yo, shorty, you're beautiful, man. I'm really feeling you. Okay, let's be in a relationship. That's how it works. Right? There's time. So just because you go to Christ and be like, Lord, I want you in my life. No, that's not how it works. Even though that's how it's explained in the Christian church. That's a lie. And this is what confuses people. Verse 22.
Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name?
Hey, we went on mad dates.
And in thy name have cast out devils.
Hold up now. Want you all on my Facebook wall?
And in thy name done many wonderful works.
Didn't we go and spend time at the lake? Because that's what the Christians are focusing on, thinking that they have a relationship. It's because they was able to do some spiritual acts. So yes, you was talking to the young lady. Yes, the brother took you to Roof Chris. And yes, y'all might have took a trip to the beach. And yes, y'all might have did all of these things in the initial stages of getting to know each other. But, verse 23.
And then I'll profess unto them, I never knew you.
Right?
Depart from me, ye that work iniquity.
Ye that work iniquity. Because the fact that you wouldn't stop drinking so bad. Because the fact that girls kept calling your phone, because the fact that I didn't realize, I never saw that I could trust you, the relationship never started. I never knew you. See that? So that's the thing that Christians are getting confused on by this religion of Christianity, thinking that, hey, just come as you are and he'll let you in. Just like I said the other day, the Most High's love will always accept you for who you are. But his word and his spirit will never allow you to remain the same. And I'm going to show you that according to the word in a minute. So remember, upon 2 or 3 witnesses, let every word be established. Yeshua is saying here that I never knew you, you working of iniquity. Therefore, I should be able to go to a precept and prove exactly what I'm saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go 1 John 3. So he said, I never knew you. Watch this. I told him when he sent that question, I was like, boy, there's going to be some edifying on this one. This is going to open up the Most High can really show some things in this. Watch this. Now let's go to 1 John 3. Matter of fact, before we go to 1 John 3, let's go to 1 John 2. And let's look at verse 4. Watch this.
He that saith, I know him, and keepeth not his commandments is a liar, and the truth is not in him.
You see that? So that's just like you saying, yo, I'm in a relationship with her, but you ain't never been on a date with her. You a liar. That's just like saying, yo, man, that's my man. You don't even know where he stay. He's a liar. All the things that took place outside of that is irrelevant. And when it comes to the relationship with Hamashiach, read that again. He says what? So the ones that are telling people, yeah, I'm a Christian. Yeah, I'm in the truth. What? And don't keep his law is a liar. Y'all see that? So it's all together. The law is the relationship. There is no you can't even get into the relationship if you ain't keeping the law. Yeah, he's gonna come there. He's gonna have his open arms. Remember? Because Ezekiel 33 said it. He wished that all the non-perish, that all the wicked will repent. So you get the open arms. I give you my number. You feel me? I give you my number. Watch this. Verse 3, 1 John 3, verse 4. Watch this. So that proves who the workers of iniquity are. The ones who are breaking the law. And he said, out of his own mouth, not Lavender, you workers of iniquity, I never knew you. So my Christian brothers and sisters, you may want to reconsider, are you really in a relationship with him? And I know people get offended when we say this, but white Jesus is okay with anything. Now Hamashiach of the Bible. You understand? Watch this. Verse 5.
And you know that he was manifested to take away our sins.
Talking about Hamashiach.
And in him is no sin.
Hebrews 4, verse 15 said that at all point he was tempted like you and I, but without sin. Go ahead.
Whoso abides in him sinneth not.
So the Bible says, Deke, that the ones that are in Hamashiach are not breaking the law. Go ahead.
Whosoever sinneth has not seen him, neither know him.
You see that? So the Bible says the ones who are breaking the law have not seen him nor know him. And he said out of his own words in Matthew 7, out of his own mouth in Matthew 7:21, ye workers of iniquity, I don't know you. So that relationship and that law go hand in hand, buddy. And let's prove this. Let's end it off here, D. 2 Corinthians 3. Man, that was a good question, boy. I got excited when that got sent to me. I was like, man, this gonna do it right here. It's gonna bring it out. 2 Corinthians 3, 17 through 18. And this brings everything home what we just brought out. Watch this.
Now the Lord is that spirit, and where the spirit of the Lord is.
Matter of fact, so they can get a full understanding of that. Start at verse 14.
But their minds were blinded, for until this day remaineth the same veil untaken away in the reading of the Old Testament, which veil is done away in Hamashiach.
You see that? So what he's talking about here was this, that during the time when Moses came down from getting the law, his faith was shining so bright that he had to put a veil on because the children of Israel couldn't take that glory of the Most High. And that veil has remained for a lot of Israel. It's because they can't even get out of the old. They can't even understand it, right? But he said that veil has been taken away now that those who are looking through through Christ now. You can actually see it in the Old Testament. But if your church and your pastor is telling you not to go into the Old Testament, it's just like you still got the veil on. You still can't see. Watch this. Now, with that understanding, go to verse 15.
Even unto this day, when Moses is read, the veil is upon their heart.
You see that? You see that? The veil is still there because they tell them the Old Testament is done away with. It's still there because they tell them, well, we don't need that. It's still there. Watch this. Verse 16.
Nevertheless, when it shall turn to the Lord, the veil shall be taken away.
But when they turn to the Hamashiach fully, not that white Jesus of Christianity, but when they turn to Hamashiach of the Bible, what happens? Now the veil shall be taken away. Watch this, verse 17. Right, go ahead. Right. So that lets you know right there, Deke, that our people are staring in the image of white Jesus, not the Hamashiach of the Bible, because they're becoming white Jesus. That's why you're celebrating Christmas, because white Jesus is there. That's why you're celebrating Thanksgiving and Easter, because white Jesus is there. But if you were staring in the image of Hamashiach of the Bible, the law will be coming forth for you. You will be transforming into that image. If you were spending time with Hamashiach of the Bible, you will be worshiping him in spirit and truth. So that lets us know who relationship you're in. Now, that was a great question. So for those who just coming on with us, if you have any questions, you can post those questions. If not, we're going to stick with the ones that we have already submitted. I know we spent a lot of time on that question right there, but it had to be brought out in that manner for it to get full understanding. Now, let's go to the next question. It says, I heard you say that racism has nothing to do with what is happening to our people. If racism is not what's going on, then what is? I'm going to read that again. It says, I heard you say that racism has nothing to do with what is happening to our people. If racism is not it, then what is going on? Let's go to Lamentation, the 5th chapter. Now, this is what's happening, ladies and gentlemen. And I try to get this across to people all the time. People, sometimes get offended when we be saying this, but this is fact. What happens, ladies and gentlemen, is people will come on in the middle of a lesson, hear part of what is said, right? See a title of a lesson, and we're making assumptions about what we're saying instead of going back and watching in its context. Always complaining, man, it's too long, or I ain't got time, or whatever the case may be. Now, Dick, I can say this, right? And I was gonna wait till after the lesson to tell you about it, but I think this is worth mentioning because I know the person ain't gonna be watching. I ain't gonna say no names, but do you know someone tried to put me on this weekend that we was the true Israelites? Now listen. We've been in truth for like 6 years. I've been bringing out this truth publicly for 3, right? For those last week, when we saw, I did that thing called the teaching called "There's no such thing as a black Hebrew Israelite," right? Mm-hmm. The person saw the title of it, they had to, didn't watch none of it. Commented on it, said, "Yo, I have a question." I asked the person, "Yo, what's your question?" The person said, "When you said there ain't no black Hebrews, I disagree because I am one of them." I said, "Did you watch the video? Have you ever seen anything on my page?" I said, "Go look at my cover page." And before they could answer, they was already posting, going in like, "We Israel," and I had an epiphany, breaking this stuff down, and I'm sorry, I was speaking on Hebrew in there. You may not understand Hebrew. And I was like, if I didn't understand the Hebrew, how did I respond to it? Right? And then the person was like, well, I'm talking about just answering, just going on responding, not reading anything that I'm saying. And then was like, yo, I'll be bringing out stuff on the Sabbath, not on Sunday, but it's Friday, sundown, Saturday, sundown. I'm talking about trying to put me on. And I'm like, yo, evidently, you can't even know me if you're telling me these things. Right? Mm-hmm. So this is what happens. Right? But this is why we do the Q&As, to make things clear. Because y'all believe it or not, bro, there's a lot of people who don't understand. No matter how long the lessons are we do, no matter how much detailed information that we give, people will take a sound bite of it, shut their ears down, and run with it. And my proof was the ultimate proof when a person tried to tell me just this weekend that I was an Israelite. Yeah, I didn't know. That's what happened. Okay. So this person came to me just yesterday and said, I heard you say that racism has nothing to do with what is happening to our people. If it's not racism, then what is going on? The person saw an old lesson of what we did when we talked on the origin of the word racism. That person didn't hear that part of it. They just heard that we said this ain't racism. So let me explain to you. The word racism did not exist in the earth until 1901 by a man by the name of Richard Henry Pratt. Okay. And when the word racism was created, it had nothing to do with the so-called black man. It was talking about relations to America, back to the so-called Native Americans. And it was talking about the fact that they wasn't teaching them the religion, they wasn't teaching them their language or their culture, and that was racism. So he said that in order to help the so-called savage Native American, you must kill the Indian and save the man. And he said anyone that wasn't willing to do that was practicing racism. Right? So what we like to bring out all the time, ladies and gentlemen, if the word racism did not exist until 1901, then what happened between 1600 and 1900? What was that? What people don't understand, ladies and gentlemen, is racism, racist, anti-Semitic. All these little words right here are buzzwords that they create to justify actions. And when they throw these words out there, people just get excited and they just flow with it, not understanding what's being said. I think we got a question over there. Make sure you go check that question. Right? So that's what the case would be. Okay. My sister, we're going to get to your statement in a second, but we're going to answer this question. So let's go to, we're talking about what racism is. Let's go to Lamentations 5. It's just a statement, it's not a question. She said, what now?
I've been walking in the truth a little over a year.
Mm-hmm.
My siblings and my 85-year-old, we are learning and happy.
All praise. All praise. Oh, that's Minister Stone. Oh, yes. I just met her yesterday. All praise to the Most High. Thank you for joining us. And as I told you, we're going to do whatever we can to help out your family and your ministry, whatever we can do. Shouts out to the Ohio that's in the house with us. Whatever we can do, we will be there for you, Minister Stone. Thank you for joining us tonight. So let's talk about what this is, what's going on. Let's go to Lamentations 5. For those who want to know what's happening and that is not racism, let me give you the Bible. Lamentations 5, Deacon, let's read that, start at verse 1.
Remember, O Lord, what is come upon us.
Right.
Consider and behold our reproach.
Mm-hmm.
Our inheritance is turned to strength.
Our what?
Our inheritance is turned to strength.
Mm-hmm.
Our houses to aliens.
Now, so you see, ladies and gentlemen, there's a people in the world saying they're Jews now, and not our people. Read that last part again. He says what?
Our inheritance is turned to strength.
Now our inheritance is given to the Gentiles. Go ahead. Now, who is over there fighting over Israel right now? Oh, we ain't gonna go there tonight, D. Not gonna go there. No cutthroat, just gonna stick to us. We're gonna just stick to us, stay in this lane right here. Yeah, you know saying? Not dealing with them. I'm dealing with my brother who's trying to get this understanding. So our houses have turned to aliens. So right now you got the so-called Palestinians and all kind of people over there in Jerusalem over there saying, this is our land. Syrians, everybody, right? Okay, let's go. Verse 3.
We are
orphans
and
fatherless.
Our mothers are as widows.
Is that not what's going on in the so-called black community, so-called African-American community? Fathers being killed. No homes, no fathers in the homes. Orphans, a lot of our children don't got no mother, no father. Because either they're in prison or they killed or walked away. And what else?
We have drunken our water from money.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, see, read the rest of that.
Our water is sold unto us.
You think right now, because this is the way of America, where you got to have a water bill and a light bill, that's not what was going on in Israel. Do you think the Native Americans were paying a water bill before the so-called white man showed up? Do you think people was paying for wood to heat their homes and to build their houses? You think people had a house payment before the so-called white man showed up? No. You understand? So now, ladies and gentlemen, what has happened to our people is because you got the money to build your house now and you got the money to go on trips. You think you blessed. No. That's why when you go to our people and say, yo, man, we still in slavery. They're like, man, what are you talking about, man? You don't even know. Tell them what the definition of a mortgage is, man. A death tax. That's what mortgage means in Latin. Death tax, which means, ladies and gentlemen, realize you can have a 15-year mortgage or a 30-year mortgage. You can pay your house off. And guess what happens if you don't pay the taxes? I still take it. Does that sound like freedom to you? No, but because it's better than what we had. People think it's called illusion of inclusion. Ladies and gentlemen, these people knew that what they were doing to us in the plantations in the South was not going to continue. Eventually, it was going to be over. We were going to take over because our people knew who we were then. We was not going to continue to just stay there for all those years and let us be slaves. So don't buy the history books to tell you that a civil war was fought for our freedom. No, the Civil War was fought for who was going to control us to the end. And then they all got up and said, you know what? It's better for us. Let's all get money. That's what it was. The same so-called emancipator, Abraham Lincoln, was making deals for our people to remain slaves until 1900 and to be sent out of the country. But then some wise men from the South said, no, buddy, let's free them today. And they wouldn't get money off them forever. So you paying for a water bill means that you're in captivity. You paying for light bills. You got a mortgage. You got to pay tax on your car. If you don't pay tax on the car, guess what they do? They don't even, you can't even drive the car. They take your tags. That's slavery, brother. That's not freedom. Watch this. Verse 5.
Our necks are under persecution. We labor and have no rest.
We labor and we have no rest. Go ahead.
We are given a hand to be into the serious to be satisfied.
Just to be satisfied with bread. We done sold our souls. We're following their gods. We're following their religion. Just to have bread. Don't that sound like us? Watch this. Verse 7.
Our fathers have sinned and are not. We have borne their iniquity.
So because our ancestors are the ones who sinned and they're going, and we're left to deal with the iniquities and the punishment and the curses. It ain't racism, my brother. It's called the curse of Deuteronomy 28. Watch this. Verse 8.
Servants have ruled over us.
Servants have ruled over us.
There is none that doth deliver us out of their hand.
You see that? And people don't want to hear that. That makes them uncomfortable. Just realize that the Gentiles were placed here to serve us. And that makes you uncomfortable to hear that, but yet it's not uncomfortable for you to serve them. You understand? Watch this. Verse 9.
We get our bread with the pearl of our lives,
right?
Because of the soil of the wilderness.
Listen, man. Everything we try to get now, we got to risk our lives to get it. You understand? And then he's going to describe us. Verse 10.
Our skin was black.
Our what?
Our skin was black.
Our what?
Our skin was black. Like another because of the terrible thing.
Does that sound like anybody else but us? What Jewish man skin is black? That's us. It ain't racism, brother. It's called a curse. We have a full lessons on that who wrote it. Just wanted to put that out there. Now, next question. Let's see. Trying to find someone we can get through real quick. Said he's longer one for last. Okay, yeah, this is another one we need to get to. He says, I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm a brother. I'm a son. I'm an uncle, a friend, a business owner, and an active member of my church. I wear many hats in my family and community, but I've listened to your videos for some time now, and I feel that it's time to bring this information to my family. How do I go about this? Doing Thanksgiving wasn't that bad, even though I didn't want to do it, but I have really struggled with pretending to be in the Christmas spirit. I don't want to be displeasing to God, but my family means the world to me. I'm going to read that again. He says, I'm a husband, a father, a brother, a son, an uncle, a friend, a business owner, and an active member of my church. I wear many hats in my family and community, but I've listened to your videos and for some time now, and I feel that it's time to bring this information to my family. How do I go about this? During Thanksgiving wasn't that bad, even though I never didn't want to do it. But I have really struggled with pretending to be in the Christmas spirit. I don't want to be displeasing to God, but my family means the world to me. My brother, trust me, my brother, I understand with you. Let's go to Sirach, the 4th chapter. I need you to hold that and get Sirach 20. I want to stick on strictly the wisdom scriptures here because this is a situation where we have to operate in strict wisdom and the spirit. Can't move by what it seems like or what it looks like. My initial advice for you, ladies, my brother, is this is not the time to do it. I get on Israelites all the time about posting about Christmas and Thanksgiving during the Christmas and Thanksgiving season. It's pointless. What is the point? Do you actually think right now that you posted, oh yeah, Christmas is pagan, that somebody's going to take down the Christmas tree, somebody's going to say, all the gifts is going back. It ain't happening, okay? It ain't happening. And it's amazing to me that a lot of the ones that go so hard doing it, they ain't gathering, no Sabbaths, they ain't keeping no holy days themselves, they ain't doing nothing, right? See what Shah said. They ain't doing nothing, right? Right? Yeah. You understand? So today, nowhere near this time frame right here, this is not the time to have this conversation, my brother. And if anyone tells you that it's time to have this conversation now, don't love you, they don't love your family. You know, brother, I just have conversation with you through Facebook, but I got love for you, brother. You Israel, I love your family. I don't know any of them, but they're God's people and I love them. And I don't want that. I don't want no broken households over nothing. You understand? There's all these guys out here speaking irrational and erratic, telling people to break up households, to break up marriages. Listen, that ain't the spirit of the Most High. So my advice to you before we give you these scriptures, because like we always want to let the Most High have the last word. You understand? Is to wait to the end of January, February. You understand? You want to start talking to your wife about Valentine's Day, mid-January. You don't want to wait to February for that. If she's someone that's interested in that Valentine's Day, you want to start having the conversations about that. Which with most women, that you're taking care of your woman all year. Yeah, I don't have that. Those women that be stressing that Valentine's Day, it's just petty and they just worried about what some other woman is talking about. That's what that is about. Most real women that you come to them and tell them like, listen, this thing is pagan and you've been taking care of them all year long. You give them stuff because you love them. That ain't gonna mean nothing. That Valentine's Day only means stuff to people who are following the world, who petty and worry about what other people think. And for women who ain't getting nothing, and man, that's the one time of the year where he feels forced. I gotta do something. But the women who actually has a man that's just buying her stuff randomly throughout the year because he loves him, they're not gonna be stressing over that Valentine's Day. But with these holidays and this truth, you let this stuff go past, my brother. Let it go past. And we're gonna show you in the scriptures that the Most High is gonna show you when the time frame is to start having these conversations. What we always advise people to do is start with the Christmas tree. Start with the things of Christianity. Don't, go out there immediately. Like, we're the children of Israel. Don't do that. Right? Start with something like what you can show them in the Bible. Like maybe like January, mid-January. Like, yo, why? So, baby, let me show you this, what I've seen here. Do you know the Bible told us that we were never supposed to do Christmas trees? Well, Christmas is gone. And you ain't got to deal with that for a whole nother year. So you got the whole year to grow in that. You understand? And she done got out of Christmas what's important to her. Because listen, man, our family doesn't, many of them don't even really care about the whole essence of it. It's just the tradition and the family time. It's the kids. And we got Purim coming up. So we'll be able to show you that. And then you can show them how you can transition to that. Even though we don't make that about just gifts. But that's just one alternative when it comes to that. But slowly, my brother, is what we're saying. Slowly, methodically, and through the spirit. You know your wife, you know how she is, you know your children. You do these things in time and you bringing them involved. And you just have these conversations together. The main thing is you don't just come in one day and say, all right, guess what? It's over. And let's get that first scripture deep. Sirach 4:30. Watch this.
Be not as a lion in thy house, nor friendly among thy friends.
So you can't be as a lion. You can't come there, oh, this is over, and kicking over the Christmas tree. You know what I'm saying? Nah, nah, right? You can't listen. Don't do that. Don't do that, right? Now, the Spirit is telling me to address ladies. Now, this question came from a man, right? But there's ladies out here who's coming into this truth before you men. So I want to speak some encouragement to you. Let's go to 1 Peter. Let's go to 1 Peter on that. We're going to come back to that, but I think with our community, taking our community in consideration, we got to deal with that too, because there's a lot of women that's coming into the truth, before their man is, before their husband is, and they dealing with this right now. There's some ladies right now dealing with this. I've heard stories where men want to divorce their woman over a Christmas tree. Man, it's real out here. You know what I'm saying? So let's make sure we encourage the ladies in which this is happening with too, as well as single mothers. We're going to get to the single mothers as well, but right now I want to deal with families because this is really what's happening right now. Let's go to 1 Peter 3, and let's get verse 1 there. 1 Peter 3:1.
Likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husband.
Right.
That if any obey not the word,
right,
they also may, without the word, be won by the conversation of wine.
Now, so I wanted to make sure I brought that out too. Let's go back there. I wanted to bring that out because some of you ladies, you need to understand truly the power that you have, right? You know, a lot of times women are taught to use their bodies and their looks and their their strength to get from the man or to control the man. But in actuality, you have the ability to actually enhance your man and to empower your man and to improve your man and to promote him to being a better godly man for you and the Most High at the same time, simultaneously. So if you begin to the ladies, if you come into the truth about these holy days and your man is not there yet, you can just do some stuff like simple, like, yeah, I'm gonna cook Christmas dinner, but this year I don't have no taste for no ham this year. Do something subtle like that. Just do something sort of like, yeah, let's do something else. That man, because you cooking, he ain't gonna care. Okay, he might be like, hey, baby, you know I did want that ham, but because that turkey's over there's banging and that hen's banging and that cake over there's banging and all these other things, he'll get over it, right? So it's like subtle ways where you can just start, removing things and opening up, conversations for him to start seeing this and seeing that, without coming in with the ultimatums. But like I said, right now, what is it, December what? 17th? Right now, that conversation don't need to be had at all. At all. You know what I'm saying? Go through it, get through it, spend your time with the Most High. And this is what we wanted to show you over here, Sirach 30. No, Sirach 20, I'm right, Sirach 20. And there's some wisdom to show you how to handle these things right here. Sirach 20. And let's read verse 5 through 8 there.
There is one that keepeth silence and is found wise, and another by much babbling becomes hateful.
You see that? You see that? So that song that is gonna sit back, don't say a word, right? You're just gonna be in there in the spirit. You ain't gonna say nothing, praying the whole time, and you're gonna be eventually found wise because you found out, like, yo, it's not the time. But read that last part. He said what?
Another by much babbling.
By much talking. Now it's hateful because you're ruining every event. You're ruining every gathering, running off in the mouth. And now people hate to see you coming. You never want your wife or your husband or your children, your family to hate see you coming. You understand? Watch this. Verse 6.
Some man hold his tongue because he hath not an answer, and some keep a silence knowing his time.
You see that? So there's some people who ain't saying nothing because they don't know what to say. And that's also good too. That's also good too. Let's show them that, D. Because a lot of times people be like, yo, I know this ain't right, but you don't know the way to break this thing down with the Bible. And especially dealing with your Christian brothers and sisters, you better be able to go to this Bible. And if you don't go to this Bible, just go, hey, man, hey. Nah. Let's go to this right here. Let's go to Sirach 5 and verse 11 through 12. Watch this.
Be swift to hear, and let thy life be sincere.
See that? That's very important, especially for the men. Because if you over here talking about Christmas is wicked and you watching porn, you understand? You over here talking about we supposed to be keeping the Sabbath and not Sunday, and you over here doing shady business over here, your witness is finished. You understand? So that's very important. You got to make sure every aspect of what you're talking about is right before you start trying to go bring some truth. Go ahead.
And with patience give answer.
And with patience give answer. Go ahead.
Without his understanding, answer thy neighbor.
So when your neighbor, when you bring these things out and the people ask questions, if you know what to say, you answer, you give them, you bring it out. But what?
It's not right by
And I like to say this, I've said this oftentimes, and I'm going to say it again, especially to the women. When you're talking to your husband, don't bring up my name, okay? I have to keep reminding people of that. That goes for the men, but most important for the women. Don't bring up my name, okay? Please. Please. You understand? Listen, in the words of Jesus, get jammed up, don't mention my name. Okay? You understand? Now let's go back to Sirach 20, right? And let's read that verse 6 again.
Some man holds his tongue because he has not to answer. Some keep a silence knowing his time.
Knowing his time, go ahead.
A wise man will hold his tongue till he see opportunity.
Read that again.
A wise man will hold his tongue till he see opportunity.
A wise man will hold his tongue until he see the opportunity to bring this thing out. Go ahead.
But a babbler and a fool will regard no time.
Well, right now, the day, Christmas Eve, D. Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve. You know what? Hey, this is your wicked, man. On Christmas Eve. Babbler and a fool. You understand? That's not the time. Wisdom will tell you when is the time. Watch this. Let's go down to verse 30.
Wisdom that is hid and a treasure that is hoarded up, what profit is in them both?
But that's the same thing, though. But having said all of that, you got to make the time to say these things. Because having this wisdom over here, my brother, having this wisdom, my sister, and just storing it up and not sharing it with the people that you love, it ain't profiting you or nothing. It ain't profiting them. You got to be willing to deal with the rejection. Some of that's going to happen. But you just can't sit on it. Yeshua said, who likes a candlestick and hide it up on a bush? Right? Verse 31.
Better is he that hideth his folly than a man that hideth his wisdom.
You see that? He said, listen, it's better for a man out here hiding his infidelities and his lies and his fornication versus a man who hiding the truth from his family. You understand? Watch this. Verse 32.
Necessary patience in seeking the Lord is better than he that lives his life without a God.
You see that? So just be patient, my brother, and trust the Most High. Make sure you clean up your life. You study, you pray, you fast, you get the understanding so that you can be able to break these things down on an elementary level and be able to give the people the time. And you give them enough where they at. You don't just flood them with everything. Okay. Trust the Most High. He'll lead you on. You know your family. You know her. You know what she's willing to hear. And if she's anything like you, brother, love the Most High, right? You're gonna have a partner. You're gonna have a partner in crime that's gonna stand with you, and y'all gonna affect your community in a very special way. You understand? Now, next question: is it against Torah to do street preaching on the Sabbath? Is it against Torah Torah for my Christian brothers and sisters? That means the law. Is it against the law to do street preaching on the Sabbath? Now, this came from a couple of days ago. I told him I was going to bring this out because evidently, I didn't hear about it, but evidently there was this big debate going on back and forth where these people were talking about that it was against the law to do street preaching on the Sabbath, and they was debating back and forth. And of course, how a lot of times the debates do get all off, and whatever the case may be. I mean, we've told people countless times, better days, we don't do no debating. It's pointless. Let's go to Galatians 5. Let's go there first. Let's go to Galatians 5. So the question is against street preaching, against the law, Torah, to do street preaching on the Sabbath. And for my Christian brothers and sisters who may not understand what we're talking about here, is this, that Isaiah 58 and many other verses tell us to cry loud and spare not, to go into the streets and cry loud and spare not. And so we've done it, but we have not done it on a large basis. We plan to do these things in the coming year because, but we're in an area in which there's not a lot of areas that is effective to basically do this where we can reach a large population of people. We stayed in our lane and doing what we're doing because there's only a few of us that are qualified and experienced enough to bring out the truth in that manner. You understand? So for Better Day Ministries, our approach has been, when we do these things in the public, we don't do it on the Sabbath because we're working on the Sabbath. You know what I'm saying? We don't got a team where we can do the gathering and the congregating over here and the teaching over here and then go send some guys out. We haven't grown to that point yet. So when you see us on the streets, it's not the Sabbath because we're working for the Most High on the Sabbath. Friday nights, we bring this thing out. Saturdays, we somewhere gathering. We're doing the work one way or another, but it all adds up to the work of the kingdom. Everybody has their calling of what they're supposed to do. So let's look at this. Now, to understand this, why some people, I didn't even have to watch the video, but I know why some people were saying what they were saying. During the time of the law, when the Sabbath was in, the only thing you did on the Sabbath was you gathered in the temple, in the synagogues, 12 in order, read from the law, and there was an exhortation from the priest. You didn't do things out in the street. It was strictly about the things of the Most High, the sacrifices and those things like that. That's what occurred. But there's some things that went differently as the church began through Hamashiach. And sorry about that. Unless you want to keep calling me. There are some things that people don't understand that is different now as a result of us being under the law. I mean, being in Hamashiach. So let's go over that in Galatians 5. Same thing every Tuesday. Surprise every Tuesday. Galatians 5, I'm going to bring this out, and then I want you to go ahead and get Acts 13 ready. Galatians 5, let's start at verse 10.
I have confidence in you, says the Lord, that you will be none otherwise minded, but he that troubleth you shall bear his judgment, whosoever he be.
So this is what Paul was dealing with the Galatians, because there were Israelites that were coming in from Jerusalem and was trying to enforce the guys to do things their way, basic versus what Paul had been telling them how to do things through Hamashiach. Go ahead.
Brethren, if I yet preach circumcision, why do you yet suffer persecution?
And so he said, listen. He said, listen, don't listen and get caught up in what these guys are saying about me. They know I'm preaching that we Israel. You know what I'm saying? I'm still teaching the law. I'm preaching circumcision. I'm preaching Israel. I'm preaching the things of the law. But they mad at me because of what I'm doing through Hamashiach that they don't agree with. That's really what the problem is. They try to use the law as justification, but really they don't want to submit to Hamashiach. That's what the problem, right? And ladies and gentlemen, what you will find in Israel right now, that largely the people who are coming against guys, calling them Christian Israelites and saying these things, and these guys act like Christians, because they just want to sit around and read the law. They don't want to worship. They don't want to do the things that they don't want to feed the homeless. They don't want to go out and take care of the widows. They don't want to take care of the children. They don't want to do nothing. They want to sit there and call people sinners. That's what they want to do all day. No works that Hamashiach told us to go do. So when they see people who make an effort and make it important to worship, to make it important to praise the Most High, and to make it important to keep these holy days and to be out and about in the community doing things, that's when they want to start throwing the Christian Israelite term on it, because you ain't doing the things of Christ. That's another lesson for another time. I don't even be worried about these guys. But Paul is bringing this out, talking about this. Go ahead.
It is the offense of the cross ceased. I would they were even cut off, which troubled you.
Paul said, listen, man, I wish they was cut off, man. So Shalom, Marah, good seeing you on this night. Verse 13.
For brethren, ye have been called unto liberty. Only use not liberty for occasion to the flesh, but by love serve one another.
So Paul said, listen, now when it comes to the things of the law, you're not bound by every aspect of that law no more. You have liberty to do things, but now that liberty must be used for what?
By love serve one another.
Now read that last part. Only for what?
You only use not liberty for occasion to the flesh.
Right there. Because we often tell people all the time, like when we were talking about the things of the Sabbath, and we be like, yo, you know, there ain't no buying, no selling on the Sabbath. And then some people are like, oh, we got grace. Nah, that means that you're just being lazy and you don't want to do what you got to do before that sun go down on Friday. So that's why it's called preparation day. You go get your gas, you pay your bills, you go get your food, and if the situation happens that you're stuck and because of captivity, now you use your grace. But don't use the grace just because you were lazy. Or don't use the grace just because you want, I got grace, I ain't gonna go to hell for it. Nah, that's not how it works. When we out here doing things for the Sabbath, there's sometimes, especially when we feeding people things, there's food that we have to buy on the Sabbath. And I'm going to show you that when we get up to Luke 6. So there's things when you're doing the work, now you have liberty. But back under the law, I would have been stoned to death and then buying some food, no matter if I was going to help somebody, give somebody something to eat. You understand? But he said, but not for the flesh, but what?
But by love serve one another.
But by love to serve one another. Now, go ahead, verse 14.
For all the law is fulfilled in one word. Even in this, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
You see that? Now, let's prove that Paul himself was street preaching on the Sabbath. Let's go to Acts 13. Then we're going to go to Luke 6. And we're going to show you that how the liberty of when you're doing certain things for the Sabbath, doing the work of the Most High, that you're not bound by that law when you're doing the work of the Most High. Let's go to Acts 13. And show you that Paul himself was bringing it out in the streets on the Sabbath. Acts 13, and let's look at verses 42 through 43.
When the Jews were gone out of the synagogue, the Gentiles besought that these words might be preached to them the next Sabbath.
So they was in the synagogue, bringing it out, and at this point, the Gentiles wasn't allowed to come into the synagogue. So when Paul and them came outside, they was like, "Yo, bro, next Sabbath, we want to come in," right? Now look at verse 43.
Now, when the congregation was broken up,
Right.
many of the Jews and religious proselytes followed Paul and Barabbas, who, speaking to them, persuaded them to continue in the grace of God.
And you see, if you go back and read up before him, they was bringing out exhortation of this truth, and they were like, "Yo, bro, hey, we know, time up, in the synagogue, but hey, keep bringing it out." So they was out on the streets, what, bringing it out on the Sabbath. You see that? And they didn't go back. Paul said, "Hold up, let me go back into the synagogue then." Nah, brought it out right there on the streets. Right. Now, let's go to Luke 6 and let's see how Hamashiach did when it comes to doing works on the Sabbath. Let's go to Luke 6. And let's start at verse 1.
And it came to pass on the second Sabbath after the first
Mhm.
that he went through the cornfields, and his disciples plucked the ears of corn and did eat, rubbing them in their hands.
Now, so what happened, ladies and gentlemen, is that the disciples and Yeshua had been out the whole time doing this work. Okay? They had been out there the whole time. And they hadn't had a chance to go back to the crib and to get nothing to eat. You're going to see it. They was on the way to the synagogue. But they had been out there bringing it out all day. You understand? The whole night doing work. Right? So they was going through the field on the way to the synagogue. And they was like, "Okay, let me grab a little something before I go into the synagogue and get out and sit down and do the work." Verse 2.
And certain of the Pharisees said unto him, "Why do ye that which is not lawful to do on the Sabbath day?"
Mm-hmm.
And Yeshua answering them said, "Have you not read so much as this, what David did when himself was a hunger, and they which were with him? How he went into the house of God, and did take and eat the showbread, and gave also to them that were with him, which is it not lawful to eat, but for the priests alone."
And you will find this in 1 Samuel, the 21st chapter. Now, let me explain to you what happened there. They was at war with the Philistines. At war, fighting on behalf of Israel. Okay? For Israel. They went in there and they ate the bread that was laid up strictly for the priests. Now, some of you would have been like Saul was. Saul got there and found out that the priest gave David some food to eat and let an Edomite, because the Benjamites wouldn't do it. You remember that story? When they was like, "Yo, man, which one of y'all did it?" And the dude was like, "Man, I did it." And then he told some of the Benjamites, "Yo, y'all kill the priest." And Benjamin was like, "Nah, we ain't doing that." And then he had an Edomite slave with him. And the Edomite slave killed all the priests, slain them. Some of you would have been that guy, slain the priest. You know what I'm saying? Excuse me. So you don't understand when work is doing that for Israel. Watch this, verse 5. He's the Lord of the Sabbath. I don't stop being the Lord because the Sabbath comes. I'm the Lord of the Sabbath day. I'm doing the work. I got my liberty. And this is what Paul was bringing out there as well. So if the Most High told you to go out and stand on the block and bring out that truth on the Sabbath, go bring it out. When you're doing work, if you're feeding the homeless on the Sabbath, you're going to the street corners to feed the homeless, you're going to the projects to just take some supplies to the kids, or you're going to, right now doing something, the wintertime, you're taking some soup to the old people on the streets, or some coats or socks or whatever, and it's on the Sabbath day, that's the only day you can do it, go do the work. And if anybody got a problem with it, they tells you right there what spirit they operate in. Straight madness, man. Straight madness. It's always seemed like it's the people who ain't doing the work that got a problem with the work being done. Straight madness, man. Let's see what time it is. We're about 17 minutes over. Let's see. I will give this one. Let's do this right quick. Let's do this one. Last question for tonight. I'm really frustrated. Every time I try to wake my Christian family members up, all they keep saying is the Old Testament is done away. So they don't want to listen to any of the verses I know to go to in order to prove we are the true Israelites. How can I, with just New Testament verses, bring some type of understanding to my family in order to get them to hear me out? Let me read that again. It says, I am really frustrated. Every time I try to wake my Christian family members up, all they keep saying is the Old Testament is done away. So they don't want to listen to any of the verses I know to go to in order to prove we are the true Israelites. How can I, with just New Testament verses, bring some type of understanding to my family in order to get them to hear me out? Now, the reason, ladies and gentlemen, the reason why most of our Christian brothers and sisters don't have an understanding when it comes to what we can see right now is because what they mostly hear is sermons. Now, let me give you the definition for a sermon, right? The sermon is a talk on a religious or moral subject, especially one given during a church service based on a passage from the Bible, right? So a sermon, ladies and gentlemen, could be basically a philosophical breakdown or understanding of what I'm trying to get across, but it may not necessarily be teaching what the Bible says. Now, for my brothers and sisters who's in the truth now, who came out of the Christian church, how many times have you heard Ezekiel 37 being preached in the church? But it was never about what it was about the awakening of the children of Israel. It was always about the dry places in your land, in your house, in your life being awakened. I heard somebody saying that it's going to help your marriage dry. And I'm talking about all kind of stuff that they would use Ezekiel 37 to teach or preach. But it had nothing to do with the Bible was actually saying with Ezekiel 37. Let me give you another one. There's the story of the prodigal son, right? People always talk about the prodigal son as like some wayward person coming back to God. That has nothing to do with that. Newsflash, ladies and gentlemen, the Spirit of the Most High gave me this 2 years ago, and I've been waiting to share this with the people. We got to have this in a lesson coming soon, but I'm going to bring this out tonight. The parable of the prodigal son, ladies and gentlemen, is not nothing to do with some wayward person going off and coming back. Guess what the Most High showed me what the parable of the prodigal son is? It's about the 12 tribes of Israel. The young son that goes away is Ephraim, and the older son that remains is Judah, the two nations. And if you look at it, when the Most High showed me this 2 years ago, the young son goes off, and who does he end up being with? The Gentiles. And as he gets out there with the Gentiles and has to work for the Gentiles, he realizes who he is, and he comes back. The elder son, which is Judah, which is the older son, Ephraim being the son of Joseph, so he's the youngest because Manasseh was older than him, right? Judah, who comes back, not comes back, but standing there the whole time, he's with the Most High, still in Jerusalem, but is not doing, he's just working, doing sacrifices, but he's not growing. And the Most High said, everything that I have was always with you. You just never asked. You just kept doing the sacrifices. It wasn't until Hamashiach came that Judah woke up to what he was supposed to be doing. That's what the parable of the prodigal son is about. It's about Judah and Ephraim coming back to the Most High. But you're not going to hear that preached in the Christian church because they're preaching sermons. You see what I'm saying? Right. So this is what it is. So to answer that question, to say, How do I give some scriptures in the New Testament which will show them that they need the things of the old? Let's go to Romans 15:4 and John 5. Watch this. Romans 15:4 and John 5. Mama V, we might do that. We're going to do that as soon as the Most High release me to do that. I've been wanting to do it for a long time, and this is the first time I actually even shared that understanding publicly. I've been wanting to do it, but I just can't just come out with something just because you do it. Yes, sir, but, you know. Let's go Romans 15 and John 5. Romans 15 and John 5. Let's get that verse 4 there.
For whatsoever things were written aforetime.
Read that again.
For whatsoever things were written aforetime.
Written aforetime.
Were written for our learning.
Written for our learning. So the Bible says the things that was written in the past is for our learning. So if you don't know the things that's written in the past, how are you going to know how to do things today? Now, that's one scripture you can give to my brother. Let's go to John 5. Right? Go to John 5 and get 46 through 47.
Or had you believed Moses, you would have believed.
Read that again.
Or had you believed Moses,
had you believed Moses,
you would believe me.
uh-huh.
For he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words?
So to give him that one, say, listen, how do you say you know Christ when you don't even believe in Moses' writings? You don't even know Moses' writings. He wrote of me. So that's one, two things you can show them. They need this Old Testament. Now I go 2 Corinthians 3 and 2 Timothy 3. Now, what my brothers and sisters in the Christian church don't realize is that from Acts to Revelation, ladies and gentlemen, are not scripture. This is what some said. That was a cold what our brothers and sisters in the church don't realize is that from Acts to Revelation, ladies and gentlemen, are letters or epistles, not scriptures. Letters are something that Paul and other apostles wrote back to churches that were built off of what you call the Old Testament. From Genesis to Malachi, including the Apocrypha, including the Apocrypha, are all scriptures from the mouth of the Most High to the people, to the prophets. I'm going to show you that. Give them 2 Corinthians 3, verse 1 through 2, to prove that these are epistles or letters.
Do we begin again to commend ourselves, or need we, as some others, epistles of commendations to you, or letters of commendation from you? Ye are our epistle written in our hearts, known and read of all men.
You see that? So, ladies and gentlemen, these right here are epistles. These are letters. But this is what you have to have. The scriptures. 2 Timothy 3. Verse 16 through 17. No, start at verse 15.
And that from a child thou hast known the Holy Scriptures.
So Timothy knew the Holy Scriptures. He didn't become a bishop with just getting a letter from Paul. From a child, he was taught the Scriptures. His mama, his grandmother didn't teach him letters written from some man. She taught them the Holy Scriptures. That's how he became a bishop. Go ahead.
Which are able to make thee wise.
Make thee what?
Make thee wise unto salvation through faith, which is in Yeshua HaMashiach.
So according to that right there, you can't be wise unto salvation. And remember, for those who wasn't on with us at the beginning, we broke down a question that came in that showing that law, you can't have a relationship with HaMashiach without the law. Goes hand in hand. Watch this. Verse 16.
All scripture is given by inspiration.
Now all letters.
All scripture is given by inspiration of God.
And
is profitable for
doctrine.
For reproof,
For correction, go ahead.
For instruction in righteousness.
So that means if you ain't reading the Old Testament, you don't get none of that. See that? Go ahead.
That the man of God may be perfect, thoroughly furnished unto all good works.
So you're not, if you don't have the things of the Old Testament, you're not thoroughly furnished to do the things of the good works. See how that works? So those are some scriptures, my brother, you can give your family to show them that they need the things of the Old Testament, and then hopefully they'll give ear to you to listen to what you have to say. So tonight, we'd like to give all praise, all honor to Ahaya Bahashem Yeshaya Royal Walk for everything that took place here tonight. Pray and hope, ladies and gentlemen, that tonight that these questions was edifying to you, and that all glory, all honor, all praise goes to Ahaya Bahashem Yeshaya Royal Walk. And for those of you not know Hebrew, that is all praise unto the Most High in the name of Christ as well as the Holy Spirit. Once again, we want to announce for those in the Scotland County, Richmond County, Hope County, Marlborough County, or just anybody that wants to drive down, that we will be at Shining Light Temple of Faith Ministries in Laurel Hill, and that is 8981 Old Wire Road, Laurel Hill, North Carolina. And we'll be there Saturday at 12 p.m. We would love to fellowship with you guys. On Saturday at 12 p.m., Sabbath lesson will be Friday night at 8 o'clock. We'd love to see you guys on. As we always say, continue to be steadfast, unmovable, always abounding to the work of the Most High, and knowing that, ladies and gentlemen, that we love you, knowing that we're praying for you. I hope I didn't miss any questions in the watch party. I actually forgot that I started the watch party. So, so if there's any questions that was put in the watch party that I didn't see, I will answer those questions at the beginning of the Sabbath lesson this Friday. I do apologize for that. I actually forgot that I started the watch party. So I didn't forget you guys. Well, I did. I didn't mean to forget you guys. But I will make sure we get to that. First thing in the Sabbath, we'll start out with those questions. So we want you guys to know that we love you. We want you to know that we're praying for you. If anything we can do for you, don't hesitate to hit us up. Barak atah, shalom. 12 seconds. I should have been started this. That's what I get.
Yeah, burn them all. Hated for the word's sake, For you. That coach. No, this ain't that hotel. You can leave that shit, your God is the doorstep. You're who is jealous of another that you can't tell, yeah. You know it's tour over damn yeah. That make 'em mad, don't yeah. Ooh, yeah. That make 'em mad, dog. Treat my wife like I treat myself. By my side, we'll be one. Serve something higher than myself. Building something I just want your help. Create a life where I get that glow. Living water, let's sip that slow. To the kingdom, let's make that toast. Righteousness is what I want the most. I can only say come this way. I can show you how to earn a day. Show a life that's the honest way. If you really do it, okay. Whole road didn't make me so. Took a sharp word to cut this cloth. Ain't told you cut that short. Sell the parts out, can't be bought. Yeah, this is tough, y'all, you can't be weak. This a real job, you can't be sleep. Time to stand up, it ain't no seat. War coming, yeah, it ain't no peace. Prove vision, I don't see no grief. Talk the truth, I'ma holler out, preach. Talk false, that'll get you heat. From the surface, you don't look that deep. Dive in it, it's a nice few feet. Good news every time I speak. Salvation, yeah, it's all I see. Oh, baby, yeah, I love these laws. Good advice, help me evolve. I ain't switching on this at all. Argue with you, baby, but that's all. No, this ain't that hotel. You can't leave that shit, your God is the doorstep. You're who is jealous of another, get you cancer, yeah. You know it's all over yeah. That make 'em mad, dog. That make 'em mad, dog.
We love y'all, man.
That make 'em mad, dog.
They have to set these rules above us. See, this is the mediator. These words. They said,